Immediately, this is your trigger warning. Immediately, this is your trigger warning, okay? Trigger warning. Hello, hi, my name is Riley, and I read you spooky, scary ghost stories daily for your entertainment. You're welcome. Titled, Not Quite Sure What I Saw. I watch you on TikTok all the time and wanted to share my story, maybe get some understanding on what I saw and felt. If you want to share on TikTok or anything, I'm okay with that, but please keep me anonymous as my niece follows me and I have never told anyone about my experience. You got it, babe. If you keep seeing me look over to the right, it's the wasps, okay? The wasps are out and I have my door cracked, so just saying. So in 2014, my brother unalived himself. The time it happened, I got filled with so much fear and anxiety, I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad happened to my dad. It got to the point I was shaking so much and wanting to puke, my best friend actually called my parents' phone to prove they were fine. But that's when my mom said an officer was coming to talk to me, and I refused to let her off the phone until I knew what was wrong. She informed me my older brother was gone, and I felt my heart physically break in two. I am so incredibly sorry for your loss. I went outside because I had my niece and son in my apartment and didn't want to wake them just yet, so I walked outside and just broke down. I screamed and fell down and cried. But I felt like something was watching, enjoying my pain. Truly terrifying for me. My brother was cremated, and I felt the whole day like I couldn't breathe and was burning up. Constantly felt like something was pushing on my chest, making it harder to breathe. We get to his viewing, and I had a pocket knife he gave me years ago in my pocket. Every time his wife came around me, it'd pop open in my pocket. And I would just get this overwhelming feeling of hate and want nothing more than to use it on her until she was gone. It got so bad I had to give my ex the knife to hold on to without telling him my reasons. And once the memorial was over and we were in the car, he told me that he kept feeling like he was supposed to blank her and that he swore the knife opened in his pocket at least twice. I then told him why I originally gave it to him. The next day was the funeral. I couldn't sit through it. I felt like I was dying and having a panic attack. Once it was over, my sister-in-law gave me a box of ashes, and she sorted his ashes in boxes for her, my parents, siblings, and a box for his daughter. That is when the nightmares started. I kept having the same one over and over again. My brother on fire with something dark and pure evil laughing over his screaming. I constantly was on edge, feeling like I was being watched. My son kept talking about a young boy looking down from the ceiling, and he was just blue and terrified my 3-year-old. A day before my dad was going to bury the ashes, I smelled sulfur and burning flesh. I couldn't shake the smell and I was constantly throwing up. About 4 or 5 that evening, I heard a noise from where my brother's ashes were, like a deep, dark laugh, so I picked up my son and was going to leave. I turned, and this black mass with red glowing eyes and yellow teeth was raising up from his box of ashes. I ran out of my house with my son and I called my ex to come home right then. I also called my dad and asked if we could place my box with his to bury. We took it to my dad as soon as my ex got home. I couldn't drive. I was a wreck. So I held his ashes while my ex drove, and our son was in his booster seat in the back seat. The whole ride, I had chest pains and sick to my stomach. My parents and my ex said I was pale and looked on the verge of death. So we left my son with them and went to the ER. When we got there, they checked my heart rate and blood pressure. They said I was on the verge of a heart attack level. So after hours, we got sent home with being told to come back if needed and to rest. My parents kept my son that night, and soon as we entered our home, we both smelled this awful smell and just had this dark feeling. That night I had the worst dreams ever. The first was the usual, my brother burning that thing laughing, and then it went to my brother hanging and my ex holding me, making me watch, not letting me get my big brother help, just my ex laughing and the thing watching until I broke free. And as soon as I touched my brother to get him down, he lit on fire. I woke up in a panic, crying and choking. Once we buried my brother, I felt a weight lifted, and then walking back to the car, I saw it again, but this time it was wrapped in fiery chains and screaming. I never saw it again until a few years ago. My son and I went to the cemetery, and he said, "Look, Mom, that thing is still stuck here." I turned and felt sick. It was still chained up in the fire and stuck in the same place. I've never had those feelings or dreams or anything since we buried my brother. I'm not sure what that thing was or why it's stuck at the cemetery now, but I'm so thankful I don't see it anymore, and I stay away from the cemetery. What the fuck? This is actually insane. This is one of the better written stories that I've read, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that it was so easy to read and so easy to feel the emotion that you put into this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Everybody in the comments, tell me if I'm wrong, but this quite literally felt like your brother's depression was eating away at him until he did what he had to do, right? Which, again, terribly sorry for your loss. But then it's like the depression came after you and your family to try to take you too. And then the second you buried him, your brother was able to kind of chain down his depression and keep it there. That is quite like it literally sounds like a figurative speech, but it was actually happening. Like, does that make sense? It feels like there was this terrible demonic presence forcing your brother to do this thing, and your brother didn't really get the peace to actually contain it until he was buried. Is 2 and 2 equaling 4 here? This was actually insane. I love the way this is written. If you ever decide to write a book, please send it my way. I will send you my address, babe. 110% will send you my address. This is actually insane. Thank you so much for sending in this story. If you have gotten this far into this, please follow, like, share, comment, save this post, do all of the things. It truly does help me, and this is my birthday month, so it would be really cool if we could get at least one video flying like all my other ones have. I would super appreciate it. I do love you guys so very much. We'll probably end up just doing a live on my birthday if that's what you guys want to do. I think that would be super righteous. So look out for the 21st of this month, May, because we will be doing some sort of live at some point where everybody can kind of join in, and I'll have guests and we can all chat and hang out. And Kai, you better be there. I swear, girl, you better be there. Just saying. All right, I love you guys. Have the greatest day ever. And this was fucking insane. I loved this story. It was perfect. I loved it. Everything about it. I loved it. Beyond the fact that you lost your brother. That was heart-wrenching, and I'm so sorry.